Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India, India's voice to the world. We continue to focus on the Bihar elections as today is the result day. I'm Mark Lynn and with me is Ramesh Ramachandran.
Thank you, Mark. Let's get the headlines first.
Well, counting for the assembly elections in the Indian state of Bihar today, after a record voter turnout in two phases, is going to begin. Elaborate security arrangements in 46 centers across the state.
Security tightened across Delhi as probe into the deadly Red Fort blast expands. Traffic police asks travellers to reach early to avoid queues at airports and railway stations.
The BBC apologises to Trump over speech edit but rejects defamation claims, says it has no plans to rebroadcast the documentary.
And global philanthropies unite to combat rising climate health risks with a $300 million pledge at COP30. Brazil launches plan for climate-related health policy. Right, so let's take a deep dive into specifics. Bihar witnessed its highest ever turnout in history with 67.13% polling recorded in the two-phase election, the highest, as we said, since 1951.
Indeed, and women voters in Bihar outpaced the men at the ballot box, in fact registering a record 71.78% turnout compared to 62.98% among the men. And this marks Bihar's highest female voter participation ever.
Now, in Phase 1, polling was held across 18 districts and 121 constituencies. The turnout was 65.08%, with 69.04% women and 61.56% men casting their vote. Phase 2 covered 20 districts and 122 constituencies. This phase saw an even higher 68.76% turnout, including 74.03% women and 64.1% men.
And across both phases, more than 850,000 polling personnel and 140,000 polling agents facilitated voting at nearly 90,740 polling stations. Well, the Election Commission deployed over 240 general observers, 38 police observers and 67 expenditure observers to ensure the smooth conduct of the polls.
Now, a whole host of issues ranging from development and jobs to identity dominated the consciousness of the state's 74 million voters.
Indeed, and let's look at DD India correspondent Gautam Roy's report from Patna.
Patna has the buzz of a state capital on the brink of a tantalizing election result on Friday. Bihar's 74 million voters have come out in unprecedented numbers in the two phases of polling to deliver a 67.13% turnout, almost 10% higher than the 2020 state polls. A wide range of issues drew voters, particularly women and Gen Z, or more broadly, the youth, to polling stations this time around.
The percentage of vote of this Bihar Assembly election is now approximate 70%. So definitely the main voter of this, the feature of the main election is Gen Z.
Development, infrastructure, the unemployment here, the poverty here, everything is here. Almost everything is in the concern of the people here, but not in the eyes of the government. And we definitely need a change to get Bihar at some other, at a good level.
Each election brings a different set of issues with it. 2025 Bihar has been no different. Some major considerations include multiple benefits of double-engine government, boosting infrastructure and development core theme, state witnessed launch of landmark projects like double-decker flyover and Patna Metro Phase 1, key highway inaugurated by PM Modi recently, Makhana Board and AIMS Darbhanga, part of development efforts. Urban infra, connectivity, electricity coverage stand out. 16 million households got tap water under Jal Jeevan Mission. 40 plus million Ayushman Bharat health services benefit cards created. 14 million toilets under Swachh Bharat Rural. 6 million houses sanctioned under PM Awas scheme. 7.6 plus million farmers beneficiaries of PM Kisan scheme. Central government allocation hiked by 4x of UPA government tenure to 104 billion USD per annum. 5 plus million government jobs and employment opportunities created since 2020. Free food grain provided to 87 million people under PM Garib Kalyan Yojana. Electrification up from 22% to 96%. 37.7 million people escaped multidimensional poverty in the state between 2013-14 and 2022-23. Bihar GSDP went up at 11.31% CAGR from 2015-16 to 2024-25. Women empowerment through schemes like Mukhyamantri Mahila Rozgar Yojana. Rupees 10,000 recently transferred to women beneficiaries. CM Nitish Kumar's image as Sushasan Babu, contrasted with Lalu Rabri, Tejasvi's Jungle Raj. Employment and migration remain key concerns of voters young and old. Election Commission's special intensive revision of voters' list led to nearly 6.5 million deletions. Opposition has attempted to exploit the issue as biased in favor of NDA. The PK factor. Political strategist Prashant Kishore's Jan Suraj party, JSP, gave new twist to the contest. Rift in RJD also led to Tej Pratap launching his party. Caste politics has also had its own sway in Bihar's electoral history. Experts say the results will also show to what extent is the state still back in the old groove or whether it has moved away from it based on other considerations like development, leadership, and social justice.
Every political party works out caste structure. When you do the seat sharing, they see the caste combination, caste aspiration. That's why Chirag Paswan, Upendra Kushwaha were very important factor this time, because when they came back to NDA fold, NDA is started with arithmetic advantage of 5% votes as against the Mahagathbandhan. So of course it's the basic, I call it a dough. Dough is caste. And then, of course, there is the Nitish factor, which you call development factor, and then other factors.
Counting day can also be expected to serve as a barometer of not only the voters' mindset, but also their political palette.
Each election, be it anywhere in the country, Bihar in this case, depends on a wide range of factors which start from the existential to identity to aspirations as well. Each of the 74 million voters in this state have decided who goes to sit in the house behind me based on multiple factors. Elections are complex, and India, and indeed Bihar, revels in this complexity. With camera person Vicky Rajput, Gautam Roy, Patna, DD India.
Right, in news just coming in, the counting of votes for the Bihar election has begun. That's the news we are tracking here on our special broadcast. Counting of vote begins in Bihar. Counting of electronic voting machines to begin at 8:30 in the morning.
Indeed, and the fate of all the 243 constituencies across 38 districts will be decided today. We know that there are over 2,000 candidates in the fray, all of them hoping to get those 243 seats. Counting of votes has begun, and the electronic voting machines will be started. The votes will be started to count at 8:30.
Right, so if you're just joining us, we are getting to you the latest news coming to us from Bihar, where counting of votes has begun, and the EVMs will be counted starting at 8:30 in the morning. That's news coming in from Bihar.
Indeed, I think in the beginning they start with the postal ballots, so those will be counted first.
Now, Nitish Kumar holds the record of being the longest serving Chief Minister of Bihar.
Indeed, he's cumulatively served for over 19 years now, and Deepika Mehta profiles the leader.
successful conclusion of Bihar Assembly polling 2025, November the 14th will now decide the fate of Bihar's Assembly. Interestingly, Nitish Kumar holds the record as the longest-serving Chief Minister of Bihar and cumulatively serving for over 18 years. Bihar has seen a wave of development as well over the years. But let's now listen into the people of Bihar on what they think about Nitish's government and whether he would be able to continue his record-winning streak as the Chief Minister of Bihar.
उनका सरकार जो है बढ़िया है, इंडिया की सरकार बढ़िया, इस बार भी वही जीतने वाला है, फुल बहुमत के साथ जीतेगा। विकास किए हैं, रोड, बिजली, हर चीज़ दी है।
अभी तक तो बहुत अच्छी रही है और जहाँ तक बात की जाए डेवलप की, बहुत ज़्यादा डेवलप हुआ है, महिलाओं के क्षेत्र में खास करके डेवलप हुआ है।
18 साल को तो नहीं पता, बट लास्ट का जो 5 ईयर रहा, जब बीजेपी से अलायंस हुआ है, तब से शायद बिहार में कुछ अच्छा दिखा जा रहा है। बहुत अच्छा रहे हैं, सबको रोजगार मिल रहा है और आगे भी उम्मीद है कि युवाओं को मौका मिलेगा और भी सुख सुविधाएं लोगों को मिलेगी।
Despite not contesting in assembly polls, Nitish still has a very strong hold on Bihar's governance and seems to have a deep-rooted faith in the people of the state. However, the counting day will now decide whether this time as well Nitish Kumar succeeds in winning the confidence of the voters or not.
Nitish Kumar has been the longest serving Chief Minister of Bihar, and now the counting day will decide yet again the fate of Bihar Assembly. But the people here have mixed reviews. However, more of them really appreciate the kind of development Bihar has witnessed over the years. Now, come the 14th of November, we will get to see who will be the next Chief Minister of Bihar. With camera person Manmohan, this is Deepika reporting for DD India from Patna, Bihar.
And Abhishek Mahajan, our colleague, is standing by. He's going to break down the Bihar state map for us. Let's go across to Abhishek. In fact, we are getting in touch with Abhishek right now. Abhishek is going to be presenting for us a breakdown of the state, the main constituencies, the key contestants, what's expected from those. As you know, the results and trends start coming in, he will give us the breakdown. He will put it into context because he will show it on the map in terms of the touch screen. In fact, we are not able to contact Abhishek as yet. We are getting that link established. But in the meantime, we have Deepika is joining us from Bihar, as well as Gautam, our correspondents on the ground, who will be getting us, the expectations of the people as the counting begins, also as the trends come in. And we have Chaksu Roy with us in the studio, expert on legislative affairs from PRS Legislate. Thanks very much, Mr. Roy, for being with us. Let me first start with you, Mr. Roy. You can put this into context, then we'll go to our correspondents. We've had a record voter turnout this time around. What does that imply in your vast experience?
I think rather than comment politically on what a record voter turnout implies, I think to me as somebody who watches legislatures very closely, a record voter turnout is an absolutely fantastic news for democracy, for the kind of interest that people are taking in the formation of the Legislative Assembly, in the interest that they are taking in choosing their elected representatives. We have seen in the past wherein for a variety of reasons, sometimes people were scared. So for example, news reports have pointed out that there was good polling even in areas which were earlier impacted by left-wing extremism.
Right.
So the fact that there's been a record voter turnout, I think it's a great thing. I think it will represent the hopes and aspirations of people, and people will be able to get a say in who gets to govern the state for the next 5 years. I think the other part is that Bihar is a wonderful mix of a state where, and as Gautam was pointing out earlier, in his capsule that Bihar is complex, and Bihar's voters are acutely politically aware. So what Bihar decides usually has some kind of a bearing on how the rest of the country thinks about politics. So that's usually a good sign for any state that's politically aware. It's a big legislative assembly, 243 seats, one of the bigger ones in the country. In fact, it was even bigger at about 349. But then when Bihar and Jharkhand became two separate states, Jharkhand got 80 seats and Bihar got 243. So today, when our viewers are watching this telecast for the rest of the morning, one number that they need to be focusing on is that the majority mark for this assembly is going to be 122. So any political party, either on its own or as part of an alliance, would be looking to get 122 seats to form the government. I think, and if you look at the numbers, it seems that the current alliance, which is the National Democratic Alliance, made up of Chief Minister Nitish Kumar's party, the BJP and a couple of others, they have repeated a number of their candidates. So I think 50% of the candidates that they had in the last legislative assembly, or candidates that they had fielded who had lost, they're repeating that. So that's going to be an interesting thing to watch out for. The RJD is one party which is contesting, I think, 140 plus seats on its own. No other party is contesting that many seats. So that's another interesting thing to watch out for. And finally, at the beginning of your program, you had mentioned as to the record turnout for women voters. And I think that is another interesting and crucial thing that all of us would be looking out for, as to what does that mean for the results in Bihar.
Right, so if you're just joining us, the news coming in from Bihar is the counting of votes has begun. Let's go across to our colleagues on the ground covering the elections and counting day for us. To you first, Deepika, tell us more.
Yes, the counting has started, and first of all, till 8:30, the counting of postal ballots will be taking place, which is currently underway. And after that, all the counting will begin for the EVMs, which is the electronic machines. So when we talk about the crucial results, the concrete results, we can expect something around 9:30 onwards only, because these are just the postal ballots which are being counted till 8:30, and after that, the EVMs will be counted. As far as the security arrangements are concerned, here security have been beefed up. Multi-layer security have been put in place across all the counting centers here, and especially when we are in Patna. And after having all the statements here, because there are continuous statements which are coming in from all the leaders, from all the party leaders. Many of the party officials are outside the counting centers as well. And the poster war, as the reports also show, that this poster war is also going on. So the rivalry is getting on a very aggressive mode here, because we are just in the initial hours of the counting process. Very soon we will start having the results as well, Ramesh.
Indeed, let's ask Gautam from where you are. Gautam, obviously it's a big day, and as Mr. Roy was saying here in the studio, that Bihar is a very politically aware state, so everyone must be, all their eyes are focused on this election result, waiting for the trends and probably debating it amongst themselves as it comes about, as we are trying to do in the studio as well. Tell us, how the average man on the street is looking at today.
Well, most of them will be glued to the television screens where you are, Mark, as well as Ramesh, and other news channels as well, because they will be looking out for the trends. And I can see on our screen as well, initial trends have started coming in. And as Deepika mentioned, these are from the postal ballots, and these can change very well later on in the day as well. One particular election in Bihar, an assembly election of 2015, is quite legendary that way, when the initial trends showed that a certain a coalition or a party was being favored. It was emerging as a single largest as well at one stage. It went to the extent that sweets and were distributed in the party office, and firecrackers were also burst. But then later on in the day, towards noon perhaps, if I remember correctly, because I was there in Patna again that year, the results completely flipped. And it was embarrassing for one side, and the other side was completely elated. So I think the initial trends will be seen with a lot of measure and perhaps even skepticism right now. And people will wait for the results and the trends to concretize further towards a little later, maybe perhaps towards noon, and then perhaps bring out the sweets and the firecrackers.
Indeed, Mr. Roy, coming to you now, since you referred to the voter turnout in your earlier intervention, do you think the Election Commission should be commended, complimented for a successful election in that the SIR, the Special Intensive Revision of Voters List, does not seem to have played on the voters' mind, at least in the face of it?
Ramesh, I think elections in India, no matter whether you take national elections or state elections, are a mammoth exercise.
Indeed.
When you were rattling off statistics as to what is the kind of personnel that is required to be deployed to conduct elections in one state, I think the fact that we are able to do that with nobody complaining about the fact that their franchise, they were not able to exercise that franchise, it's a commendable feat. Right. Many other democracies deal with much smaller numbers. Right? The numbers that we deal with and the time frame it has to be done in is, I think, of no small measure. And Election Commission has always been at the forefront of ensuring that voters are able to exercise their franchise. There are obviously, in any democracy, I think there are always questions and cross questions about functioning. But as long as the outcome of the elections is free and fair and everybody was able to cast their votes and the sanctity of that vote was protected, I think that goes a long way to say as to the working of the electoral machinery in our state. Now, just one, if I may add, Deepika was mentioning about the electronic voting machines. Now, when the electronic voting machines was first designed, one of the reasons for making those electronic voting machines was because in Bihar and many other states, there were instances of booth capturing and ballot stuffing in the ballot boxes. And to ensure that those kind of electoral malpractices did not happen and did not taint our electoral process, it was that the electronic voting machines were brought in. And when they were finally implemented, the electronic voting machines, one of the measures that was implemented was to make sure that the voting button cannot be pressed continuously. There was a time delay that was put in so that the manual ballot stuffing that could be done in the ballot box, the same could not be done in the electronic voting machine. So Bihar possibly is one of the reasons as to why we have electronic voting machines.
Okay. That's interesting. Let's go across to Abhishek. We've established contact with Abhishek. Abhishek, over to you.
All right, thanks Mark and Ramesh. So counting has started and early trends have started coming in. I'll start with the overall map of Bihar, then we'll know where actually the state is leaning. So we have divided this into 4 sections. So we'll talk about the region-wide leads first. Is still 0 as of now, but important divisions if we talk about Tirhut, western part of Bihar, and it basically decides the state, the mood of the state. So if we compare it with 2020, this is still 0. We'll get the early trends as the day progresses, but again in 2020 in Tirhut, if we talk about in particular, BJP, they had 125, JDU 6, Lok Jan Shakti Party, they had not opened their account, the Indian National Congress 2, RJD 13, JSP 0, and others 3. So let's break it down further. If we talk about the VIP seats here, so these are the VIP seats, so Raghupur, Lakhisarai, Tarapur, Danapur, Chhapra, Imamganj, among others. So these seats are very important. If we also talk about the important districts, so Patna is a very important district, Muzaffarpur, Gaya, So these divisions, districts also basically set the mood. So we'll get eventually gradually that where the state is leaning, but this is what we have as of now. But these are very important districts that we talked about. So we'll get early trends as the day progresses, but this is the details that we have as of now. Back to you, Mark and Ramesh.
Right, Abhishek, thank you for that update. Just to recap for the benefit of viewers joining us on this broadcast, counting of votes has begun at 8 a.m. in Bihar, and the EVMs will now be counted in under less than 4 minutes from now. So keep watching DD India for the latest from Bihar. Time for a very short break on this broadcast. We'll be back with more news on the other side.
When we stop seeing ourselves as separate from the world around us, caring for our planet becomes caring for our own existence. So today, let's meet people who are showing us even small steps can bring about lasting change.
I left the teaching job, started protecting palm trees. I began creating awareness among children in schools and colleges why palm trees are important and why we should care about saving them.
This habitat develops on its own inside the vortex pool. There's water moss on the walls and here on the bottom. The moss growth on the walls and bottom is proof that the water quality really is improving.
Past, we didn't know what conservation was or how to preserve or protect the wildlife. Now, through this restoration site, we are trying our best to carry forward a legacy of protecting the environment.
Kerala encapsulates the emotion of India with its vibrancy and diversity.
When we stop seeing ourselves as
Welcome back. Let's get some breaking news to you. The residence of Dr. Omar Nabi, accused in the Red Fort Delhi blast, has been demolished. This has happened in Koil Muslimpura in Pulwama district of Jammu and Kashmir. So that's the breaking news that we are bringing to you at this point in time, that the house of Dr. Umar Nabi, who is the main suspect in the Red Fort blast in Delhi that happened on Monday evening, has now been demolished. Two hybrid terrorists have been arrested in Sopore on Thursday. A joint operation by police and security forces had taken place in Mominabad. And now this news coming in that incriminating materials, arms and ammunition have been recovered in Sopore as well. The residence of the main suspect in this blast has been demolished in Pulwama. Investigation is currently underway. So we are bringing to you up to speed with this breaking news that has come in. The residence of Dr. Umar Nabi in Jammu and Kashmir's Pulwama has been demolished. This is in the aftermath of the Delhi blast. The agencies have taken the decision to demolish the residence of this particular suspect in the Red Fort Delhi blast. Two hybrid terrorists have also been arrested in Sopore, and a joint operation by police and security forces has taken place in Mominabad. Besides that, like we are telling you, incriminating materials, arms and ammunition have been recovered in Sopore. So a number of operations taking place at the same time. Investigation is also underway. Earlier, in a joint operation launched by police and security forces in Mominabad of Sopore district of Jammu and Kashmir, two hybrid terrorists, Shabir Nazar and Shabir Mir, were arrested during the joint operation. Incriminating materials, arms, ammunition have been recovered and the investigation is currently underway. So this is the breaking news that we are bringing to you. The residence of the main suspect in Pulwama district has been demolished. The main suspect's name is Dr. Umar Nabi, and accused in the Red Fort Delhi blast. His residence in Koil, Muslimpura area of Pulwama district has been demolished. This is reminiscent of what had happened in the aftermath of the Pahalgam terror attack as well, when residences of those associated with the Pahalgam terror attack was also demolished. So again, a zero tolerance towards terrorism approach being demonstrated by the authorities in India in order to send an unmistakable message that such terror incidents will not be tolerated. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has in the past already assured that the government will get to the bottom of the conspiracy and all the perpetrators will be brought to justice. In the wake of the Red Fort car blast, Delhi police has issued a travel advisory urging passengers to reach airports, metro stations and railway stations well in advance. The move comes as security in the national capital is tightened to prevent disruptions and ensure passenger safety. A detailed traffic and parking arrangement for the 44th India International Trade Fair to be held at Pragati Maidan from 14th to 27th November has also been issued. Passengers have been asked to follow specific timelines for smooth travel. 245 traffic police personnel have been deployed in 3 shifts to manage traffic in and around Pragati Maidan throughout the fair period. 15 cranes, 16 motorcycle patrol units and 3 disaster management vehicles have been positioned in the vicinity. The Lal Killa metro station or the Red Fort metro station remains closed as forensic and anti-sabotage teams continue combing the area. Those travelling by train are advised to reach at least 1 hour before departure, while Delhi metro commuters should arrive 20 minutes prior to their train schedule. International flight passengers are recommended to reach the airport at least 3 hours ahead of departure. The advisory aims to ensure seamless boarding, minimize last-minute inconveniences and facilitate efficient security screening. Regular search operations are being carried out to detect any hidden explosive caches. Deep links between the accused and Al Faleh University are under the scanner as well. The investigation has now expanded beyond Delhi and Haryana. The counterintelligence wing of Jammu and Kashmir Police on Thursday conducted simultaneous raids at 13 locations across the valley, targeting what officials describe as a white-collar terror module, possibly linked to this blast. In Assam, 7 individuals were arrested for the alleged involvement in the recent Delhi blast. On to some more news now. Bharat Mandapam in New Delhi will host the 14-day 44th International Trade Fair from today. Jitin Prasad, Union Minister of State for Commerce and Industry, will officially inaugurate the fair. This year's theme, Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat, highlights the nation's unity and diversity. This year, Bihar, Rajasthan, Maharashtra and Uttar Pradesh are participating states, with Jharkhand being chosen as the focus state. The fair will also feature 12 foreign exhibitors from countries such as the UAE, China, Iran, South Korea and Egypt. The 14-day fair will be open to trade visitors for the first 5 days and to the general public for the remaining 9 days. British Broadcasting Corporation BBC issued a personal apology to United States President Donald Trump on Thursday, regretting the editing of a documentary that misleadingly spliced his January 6, 2021 speech to suggest he incited violence during the US Capitol storming. Aired on Panorama just before the 2024 election, the program prompted legal threats of a $1 billion defamation suit unless withdrawn with compensation. The broadcaster denied any legal basis for claims, removed the film from platforms and announced no rebroadcast plans. The BBC said it was also investigating a possible second instance in which a speech by US President Donald Trump was edited in a misleading way. The BBC said on Thursday that its chairman had sent a letter to US President Donald Trump apologizing for a misleading edit of one of his speeches, but rejected that it was grounds for a defamation lawsuit. BBC Chair Samir Shah apologized personally and to Parliament, calling it an error of judgment. Amid resignations, bias allegations and a leadership vacuum, the corporation probes similar NewsNight edits reported by The Telegraph. BBC's Panorama documentary on 28th October 2024 misleadingly edited Trump's January 6 speech, igniting a bias scandal that escalated through 2025 leaks, that is, resignations, and a $1 billion lawsuit threat by 14 November 2025. Let's take a look at a timeline of the BBC Trump administration controversy since 2024. On 28th October 2024, BBC Panorama aired Trump a Second Chance with an edited January 6, 2021 speech clip implying incitement. Trump won re-election on 5th November 2024, later deeming it interference. In January 2025, the Editorial Guidelines Committee reviewed the edit. Advisor to the BBC's Editorial Guidelines and Standards Board, Michael Prescott, raised internal bias concerns. By May 2025, the committee defended the intent. Prescott resigned in June 2025 over unresolved bias. He met Chair Samir Shah on 17th October 2025. Early November 2025, The Telegraph leaked his memo alleging institutional bias. On 9th November 2025, BBC planned an apology. Shah drafted admission of error. On 10th November 2025, Shah apologized to executives resigned and Trump's lawyer demanded $1 billion. On 11th November 2025, similar 2022 NewsNight edit surfaced and probe was launched. On 12th November 2025, Democrats urged an intervention. On 13th November 2025, Trump vowed a suit On 14 November 2025, BBC apologized personally and rejected the claim and pulled the program. The federal government is reopening its agencies after President Donald Trump signed the House-passed funding package last night to end the record 43-day shutdown. According to Trump's top economic advisor, the shutdown likely led to a loss of 60,000 private sector jobs. Federal workers who haven't received a paycheck in weeks are waiting for back pay, and air travel is still feeling the effects with 1,000 flights cancelled. But Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program or SNAP food aid recipients should see their full November benefits by Monday, and Senate staffers are set to get paychecks today. Meanwhile, House GOP leaders are bracing for a significant number of Republicans to break from President Donald Trump next week and support the bipartisan bill calling for the release of Jeffrey Epstein files as supporters push for a veto-proof majority. The United States on Thursday designated 4 entities in Germany, Italy and Greece as global terrorists, accusing them of being violent Antifa groups as President Donald Trump takes aim at left-wing groups. The United States blacklisted German, Italian and Greek anti-fascist and anarchist militants as terrorist groups. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said in a statement he had designated German-based Antifa Ost as specially designated global terrorists along with 3 other groups in Greece and Italy. Rubio said he intends to also designate the groups as foreign terrorist organizations from November 20 and warned that Washington would target other groups around the world. Trump threatened to pursue Antifa during his 2017 to 2021 term in office and in September called Antifa a terrorist organization in an executive order. Israel has received the body of deceased hostage Meni Godard from Hamas in Gaza via the Red Cross. Godard lived on a kibbutz near Gaza and was killed during the Hamas attack on Israel on 7 October 2023, and his body was taken to Gaza. He was 73 at the time of his death, which was officially declared on December 8th the same year. After being transferred to Israel through the Red Cross, the body headed to forensic experts who, less than 3 hours later, identified it as Godard's. The remains of 3 hostages are still being held in Gaza. Islamic Jihad, which is allied with Hamas and also seized hostages during the October 7 attack that precipitated the Gaza war, said the body was recovered in the southern Gaza city of Khan Yunis. Under an October ceasefire deal, Hamas released all 20 surviving hostages still held in Gaza in exchange for nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners and wartime detainees held by Israel. The agreement also provided for the return of the remains of 28 hostages in exchange for the remains of 360 militants. Chileans head into Sunday's presidential election focused on rising crime, immigration and organized gangs, shifting away from the previous cycle's left-wing optimism and constitutional focus. Surveys indicate that crime is now Chileans' primary worry, with 63% identifying it as their main concern, ranking Chile second out of 30 countries. Although still one of Latin America's safest countries, Chile has seen its murder rate more than double since 2015 and kidnapping set a record high in 2024. A surge in violent crimes such as daylight shootouts has shocked the country and even begun to hinder economic activity. The Chilean government said it has arrested hundreds of Tren de Aragua members and has the gang on its back foot, while the current administration says that lifting banking secrecy laws are an essential next step to tackling organized crime. Hundreds gathered in Paris to honor the victims of the 2015 terror attacks as France marked 10 years since the tragedy. President Emmanuel Macron praised the nation's resilience and vowed to continue the fight against terrorism. Hundreds of survivors, relatives of the deceased, and officials attended a ceremony in Paris marking a decade since the November 13, 2015 attacks. The event also saw the inauguration of a new memorial garden dedicated to the 130 people killed. President Emmanuel Macron paid tribute to the victims and said France would relentlessly continue the fight against terrorism, recalling how the country held firm after the assault. The attacks began with suicide blasts outside the Stade de France, killing a bus driver, followed by gunmen opening fire at restaurants, bars and the Bataclan Concert Hall in central Paris. At the COP30 climate summit in Brazil, a coalition of global philanthropies unveiled a $300 million initiative to confront the mounting health threats driven by rising temperatures. The fund seeks to strengthen climate health data and guide targeted investments to reduce risks from extreme heat, worsening air pollution and fast-spreading diseases. Estelle Willy of the Rockefeller Foundation noted that philanthropy must push new ideas to meet these challenges. Brazil's Belém Health Action Plan, launched alongside the announcement, aims to improve coordination of climate-related health policies across government sectors, especially as floods and droughts intensify.
Health Funders Coalition has committed an initial $300 million for integrated action to tackle both the causes of climate change and its consequences for health, accelerating solutions where they are needed most. This coalition will focus on helping convert the Belém Health Action Plan into real-world results that improve lives around the world.
Blue Origin, the space company founded by Jeff Bezos, successfully launched its massive New Glenn rocket from Florida on Thursday, marking its first commercial mission and its first major science assignment for NASA. The towering two-stage rocket lifted off from Cape Canaveral, carrying two Mars-bound satellites after days of weather and storm-related delays. Live video showed New Glenn rising on 7 BE-4 engines that burned more than 2,800 pounds of fuel per second. Its reusable booster separated and safely landed on an ocean barge, a major improvement after January's failed attempt. The mission's main payload, NASA's twin Escapade probes, will travel nearly 2 years to study how solar winds affect Mars' magnetic field and atmosphere. A Viasat relay payload will remain in the upper stage for an Earth orbit communications test. A little sweetness, be it in personality or in food, doesn't harm anyone. But what if the sweetness reaches a level when it starts harming the body itself? High blood sugar damages vital organs without early symptoms. Diabetes, a medical condition, often begins quietly, but if ignored, can turn life-altering. On World Diabetes Day, Preeti Kaur turns focus on the grave threat diabetes poses and how it can be prevented.
Diabetes is a group of diseases that occurs when there is too much glucose in the blood. Glucose is the body's main source of energy, but it can only enter cells with the help of a hormone called insulin. In people with diabetes, the body either does not make enough insulin or cannot use properly the insulin it makes, causing glucose to build up in the blood instead of being used by cells for energy. Because diabetes isn't just one condition, it exists in different forms. Type 1 diabetes, an autoimmune condition where the body does not produce insulin, it affects children and young adults. Type 2 diabetes, the body does not use insulin properly or does not produce enough. Lifestyle, stress, and genetics play a major role. Gestational diabetes develops during pregnancy. It needs close monitoring because it affects both the mother and the baby. Prediabetes and other rare types where a person has a higher than normal blood sugar level, it is not high enough to be considered type 2 diabetes yet. Doctors often call diabetes a slow poison because persistent high blood sugar gradually damages heart, kidneys, eyes, nerves, and even the feet without showing early warning signs. About 537 million adults across the world have diabetes. Experts predict this number will rise to 643 million by 2030 and 783 million by 2045. World Diabetes Day is observed every year on November 14th to raise awareness about diabetes and its prevention, diagnosis, and treatment. This year's theme, Diabetes and Well-being, highlights the critical link between physical health, emotional balance, and quality of life for people living with diabetes. It is said prevention is better than cure. Preventing diabetes is possible. Focus on fruits, vegetables, and whole grains and limit foods high in fat and sugar. Aim for about 30 minutes of moderate aerobic activity most days of the week. Losing excess weight can significantly lower the risk of developing type 2 diabetes. Many people with diabetes need to take medication to manage their blood sugar levels. With every healthy choice, you rewrite your future. High sugar is dangerous, but high awareness is life-saving. Let awareness be your shield and lifestyle your medication. Preeti Kaur, DD India.
More than 3,000 striking Boeing defense workers have agreed to end their walkout after accepting a revised offer that includes a wage increase and a $6,000 upfront payment. The workers based in Missouri and Illinois had been on strike since 4th August after rejecting 4 earlier proposals from the company. The prolonged strike had forced the closure of 2 major Boeing commercial manufacturing plants in the Seattle area, affecting production schedules. Union members said that the final deal addressed long-standing concerns over retirement security and fair wage progression. You're watching DD India Newshour. Time now for all the sports action. India and South Africa begin their two-match test series today at the iconic Eden Gardens in Kolkata. This is their first red ball clash on Indian soil since 2020. India, led by Shubman Gill, aim to extend their home dominance in the 2025 World Test Championship cycle after a hard-fought 2-all draw in England. Meanwhile, South Africa, led by the skipper Temba Bavuma, returned to test action for the first time since their WTC 2025 final victory over Australia. The toss is scheduled for 9 a.m. Indian Standard Time. Fans can catch the action live on the Star Sports Network and stream it on Disney Plus Hotstar. The All India Football Federation will meet ISL clubs on November 18th in New Delhi to discuss the 2025-26 season with a proposed window from January 1 to May 31. The plan includes 187 matches and 150 days, subject to a number of participating teams. The matter may be listed in the Supreme Court on November 18. The league's future remains uncertain as the AIFF and Football Sports Development Limited have yet to agree on a new deal, with the current contract expiring in December. A failed request for quotation and the absence of broadcast partners have led to club suspensions and legal petitions, drawing questions on whether it's high time for the Indian football's top-tier league to undergo deeper structural changes. France sealed their qualification for the World Cup 2026 with a dominant 4-0 win over Ukraine at Parc des Princes Stadium in Paris. Kylian Mbappe, who is the captain of the French national team, took over the match with a brace. His first goal came from the penalty spot in the 55th minute, while the second in the 83rd minute was a clinical finish from the captain. Amid the onslaught, Michael Olise ignited a left-foot strike in the 76th minute, while substitute Hugo Ekitike sealed the rout with a low shot in the 88th minute. Didier Deschamps' squad dominated Group D, which included Iceland and Azerbaijan, showcasing depth and precision. This marks France's 17th World Cup appearance and the 8th consecutive qualification since their 1998 triumph. That's all in this edition of DD India News Hour, but do share your thoughts with us on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. You can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. After a short break, our programming on Bihar counting will resume. Stay tuned.